Hello my crafty friends, Corrine here from Corrine Crafts. Right, I hope you are well. Now, you loved the Thrifty Thursday last week, so I thought I'd do another one. It's all about using those little scraps of card to make this gorgeous background and using the same ones to make these beautiful flowers. Aren't they gorgeous? I'm going to show you this. Now, this is so adaptable. You're going to be able to use any border dies that you might have. So I'm going to get you straight on and show you how I put this gorgeous card together. This one is a little bit different from me today because look at my topper. It's 2¼ inches by 4 inches, really small. And I cut that using elements from a die set called Harlequin Rectangles. Again, I have really dug into my craft stash to get this. So this is a set where for every die you get, I'll show you, still attached to the card, you get an outer, let's see if I can get that off there so you can actually see what I've got. There we go. You've got an outer die, so this is going to, the cutting blade is there in the middle, so it cuts the dots on either side, and then this die, which is separate, cuts into your cardstock. So what I've done is I've used one of the cutting out dies to cut this little topper, and then I've used the next set and I put 2 of them together. You can see they're still taped to cut another one just like that. I've actually still got a little piece stuck in there. Why was that one in there? So that is really fun. And what I'm going to do, so although my topper's 2¼ by 4, it's going to sit on there like that, and I think that looks really kind of cute, doesn't it? But the card base is actually, it's my standard faithful one of 5½ by 6¾ cut from a card blank for a 7-inch envelope. And on the other side, I've just stuck some pink. As always, I've taken the centre out because I want to be able to use that for other projects. I'm really grasping with my pink. So I've also put on here 5 by 6¼ and this is this piece on here, just there. So that's my penultimate layer. I just wanted to show you. We're going to do some bits and then we're going to have some gaps, but I don't want to stick this down just yet. But just so you know, the most important size I think for you is the card base at 5½ by 6¾ just so that you've got a grasp of what size it is. I'll stick these two together because I've already shown you them. What I've done is I've put a little bit of foam tape on the back of here, just like this. Now I've actually gone against my normal rules by accident. I put foam tape going in the same direction. I'm going to fess up and admit what I've done. My foam tape goes vertically on the 2 layers. Normally I would do one vertically and one horizontally. I wasn't thinking, and I put them both vertically, but I think it's going to be all right. So let's just pop that in the centre of there. You always need to lift it up to have a look because that is about as straight as nothing. So let's just try again. There we go. So that is going on there. Oh, bit of glue sticking up there. Now this is going to go onto here. So again, I've got a lovely big border. I've gone for a slightly different size border at the edges to the top, but it's going to work. You've got to trust me. So what are we going to do? This is a Thrifty Thursday project, so I'm just going to use little scraps of these 4 colours. Aren't they beautiful? I am loving this colour palette. Now 3 are linen card and 1 isn't. I just went through my scrap box, but look at this. I love the pink and the yellow, the orange and the green, and I just think it's so bright and vibrant, but it's not going to be overpowering. So you can see the pink is the pink that I've used there. But again, so I've gone right back into my stash and I've managed to find this scalloped edge border. So it's got the pin dots in, and I thought that worked really well because it will match the pin dots on here. Can you see I've got pin dots on here and I've now got pin dots on there. So I thought it all sort of ties in beautifully together. Now this is a repeating die, so you can see you can do this for make it as long as you want it to be. So what I've got is I've got a piece of one of my scraps of card. I've cut it to 3/4 inch wide, but you can cut these to anything. And then I'm going to pop this onto here. Now you'll see it doesn't reach to the end, so it's not going to cut it out, but this is because it's wider than what I actually need. So I'm going to put 2 pieces of tape on, one at that end and one at this end. So what I've done is I've cut two of each of the 4 colours. So 4 colours times 2. Yeah, that's what I was trying to do. And I'm going to put this into my midi, and then I have this scalloped edge. So I can peel this off. Let's peel that off. Now I'll just keep the tape on there because, as I said, I've got 8 to do. And then what you can do is grab your scissors and just cut that off if you want. But it's going to be fine because it's way wider than you want. If you want to be even more thrifty, you can cut it down to roughly the size you want. So there we go. I have got this, and I can bring it up and show you. Sorry, the camera will just have to adjust. And you can see I've got this gorgeous scalloped edge with the pin dots on this side. So as I said, I need 8 of those. So beautiful. Here's one I did earlier. 2 in the yellow, 2 in the orange, 2 in the pink, and 2 in the green. Now they do feel like they're some of them are slightly different sizes, but it's absolutely fine. It's not going to be a problem. So I'm going to get that topper that I showed you, and I'm going to pop them onto here. So let's decide what order I'm going to do in. Shall I start with orange? I'm going to pop that. Now I just need to quickly think, have I got it roughly? Now I'm sure there's some sort of maths I could do. I just want to work out what I'm going to do. I'm going to put them like that, first one like that. Some sort of maths I could do to see how far up they're going to go. Put that like that, and they will, you can concertina them quite tightly. So I think this is going to need to go a bit higher. This is only just my rough workings for a minute. Doesn't matter if it's not the right order, because I'm just trying to measure it roughly to see where I need to start. So if I put this, so this is roughly the sort of gap I want. I've got to spare one of those. Right, what I think I might do is get a piece of low tack tape and go across there. Get a piece of low tack tape and go across there. And then I can roughly work out where is a good place to start. I quite like it fairly centred. That looks pretty good, doesn't it? Right, so I'm going to grab a pencil and I'm just going to put a little scallop marking there. Right, so that's where I want to do it. So let's put the first one on. Right, I'll get my tacky glue, which is here. And we're going to pop that on the back of here. And what we're going to do is we're going to stagger them. I think it's going to look really effective. So let's put the glue across like that. And then you can see my pencil marks, just rough approximately. And we can put them, the first one on like that. There we go. And press that down. Always make sure they're cut slightly too big to begin with. Let's go green next, I think. Now I know my green one's a bit shorter because it's just, like I say, it was scrap, so I just cut off what I had. I'm just going to put a run of glue across there. So now I'm not going to put them like that. I'm going to stagger so that it looks like that. There we go. Can you see? So that bit comes, I'm just staggering them just like that. Let's go pink next. Do I want to do pink next or yellow next? Let's see. I think I might do, no, I'll do pink next. Yeah, because then I'm going to have orange. Yes. So let's do the pink. Now, as I said, they're all slightly different widths, but that's fine. They were cut to roughly 3/4 of an inch, but it's not an exact science. I think it's more important that you get, gosh, it's hard to talk and to do that, you get this sort of distance roughly the same. Again, I've staggered back, so this one now is effectively in the same position as the one below. The yellow next. and a bit of glue across here. Don't know why this pink one feels so much bigger than the others. So I'm going to stagger back again. There we are, just staggering that. Right, I want to repeat the colourway again. So I'm going to go. Now, I was thinking about this. I was thinking if you don't have lots of scraps in the right colours, just cut these from white card and then swipe across them with your ink pads. And then you can just create the most amazing colourways that you wanted to. Or you could colour them with pens or whatever. But I was thinking that ink pads would colour these strips really beautifully. So yeah, there's lots of different ways to do it. Looking good. So what's next? Green. Oh, this is the back. I nearly put glue on the wrong side then. All the way across. And I just think it really is much nicer to stagger them backwards and forwards. Just gives that really nice effect. Pink, nearly there, nearly at the end. Turn it the right way to put the glue on. Now if you wanted to, as I always say, you can cut this piece bigger and then trim it down once you've got them all on, because then your guillotine will make sure it's a straight edge. But I'll show you how I do it and it's absolutely fine. So I need to stagger that one. Is that staggered? Yep. And the final one, now you're going to see the top of this one, so we need to make sure. I'm going to have to go with that one because it's a bit straighter. That other one was a bit wonky, so that's not going to work. I just need a straight top. You could actually cut this one down a little bit shorter if you wanted to at the top, if you wanted, but oh, let's just put a bit of glue on there. Now ideally I'm going to have to trim them down straight away just because I haven't got a spare one. Ideally you would wait till all the glue has dried before you start trying to trim it down, and that will go across there. And doesn't that, we're sticking down, doesn't that look lovely? Really, really effective. This could be done with any border dies. And look at that. Doesn't that look fantastic? I'm really, really pleased with that. So that now can go onto here. And again, I think that looks lovely for going onto the pink matte layer. But I didn't stick it down until after I'd done it so that I could lift it up to give it a little bit of a trim. Right, I just took that to my paper trimmer and gave it a little bit of a trim because it wasn't very good at the edges. So let's just now stick that down. And put plenty of glue on the back because I've got, this goes down a bit lower there. And then we can pop this on. Popping that on like that. Look at that. That looks really lovely, doesn't it? Beautiful. So then we can pop our other matte layers on. And what I'm actually going to do is I'm going to take these off. What I possibly should have done is put the foam tape across the bottom, the foam tape just across there, and then wet glue there, which I haven't done. So I'm going to actually just put a little blob of 3D glue just here so that it can level out a bit over the top of there. Just put a little blob on there, and that will now go on here. Let me check it's even and straight. There we go. Let's press that down in the middle, and then the top, hopefully with that 3D glue, I can just see it. I don't know if you can see that 3D glue down there. That 3D glue is just lifting up to make the to compensate for the fact that I've got all of those borders down the middle. Doesn't that look pretty? I really do like that. Now, I'm not going to put any weight on the top because it's got 3D glue and it would just sink if I didn't. So I just need that to cure a little bit. And while that cures, I'm going to be cutting some bits out of some florals. So I'm going to keep it really simple. I've got a couple of flowers, a couple of centres, a couple of bits here, just bringing these ones in, and that's all I'm going to use. But again, I'm going to go with my same colours, so I can show you. I've put most of these together already just because this card is all about the borders rather than everything else. So I put together those flowers like that, and I've got there, so you can see I've got all my colourways there. I've obviously got my green just here. Now, I haven't put any ink onto these because the whole point is I want them to be sort of really bold primary colours. I then found a stamp from my Kindly Thoughts collection, and it's just celebrate this day. So this could make it anniversary, it could make it birthday, and all I did was stamp it onto a piece of scrap card, cut it out by hand. I drew round what I'd cut out, and then I just cut it by hand again. So that's going to be my sentiment. So this hasn't really cured, but let's have a go with this. So let's grab my tweezers. Let's grab my wet glue. Do I want a little bit of shaping? I think I do. So I've grabbed myself a mat. I don't know. I'm still doubting myself. So all I've done is these two here. I'm just going to give it a little bit of a shape like that. I'm not going to go mad with the shaping. I don't want a lot of shaping. I just want a little bit so it's not totally flat, because I think it'll sit better. Right, so these ones are going to go on first. I'm going to do it with the 3D glue, just because 3D glue gives me time to move things around. And I'm going to pop that one just there. So you can see we're going over breaking all of the lines, which I think is really important. And 3D glue also lets me lift and let's put this up a little bit. Let me do layers and things like that. Now I've also cut these bits. These are a bit of fun, aren't they? I don't know if this is how they're supposed to be. Really no idea, but I just thought I liked the look of that. So I'm going to put a little bit of glue behind here, and I could put that one under there, just like that. You see, this is why I like 3D glue, because it gives me that chance to move things around. And then we can do the same with this one. And also, I don't have to push everything down really hard. Aren't these fun colours? And I love how the colours from here are reflected back onto there. I'm going to put my foliage in next, I think. Let's just put some foliage in here. Right. Need a bit of glue on that. And that can go like that. And then another one just here. It's fairly symmetrical, but not too symmetrical. I've got a couple of little green leaves just here, which I thought, right, I might just put my sentiment on next so that everything can be placed. And I'm going to pop that just there. And then that means I know where to put my foliage. Isn't it pretty? Aren't these colours so refreshing? Just reminds me of like pastel-y sweets. It's gorgeous. Really pleased with this. And then I'll put that one like that, and I'm just going to slide it underneath. You see, this is the downside of 3D glue though, is things do slide about a bit. Oops, that's come out now. But it's not a problem. We can always rectify it. There we go. Then I've got a couple of little, I might go for different colours. A couple of little florals. We can put that one in like that there. No, don't think I need it. Don't think I need it. Thought I did. I might leave it at that and leave it at that. And then all I want to do, haven't planned this, but now looking at it, I might just find a couple of gems for here. Right, now these would possibly look really nice with waterfall droplets. I'll just see what they look like with, or quite like that, with these yellow ones. So a yellow one, might do an orange one. Yellow one and orange one. The pink, I haven't got any of the small pink, so I might just have to do a green one. So there we go. I've got 3 little gems. I think that's enough. It just covers up that little bit of white space, doesn't it? And that is everything that I would do for this project. Let me just press that down a little bit in the centre. Just want to make it straight. And there you go. That, oops, I've just nudged the sentiment. Don't want to do that. Make sure that's straight. There you go. And that's what I would do. Isn't that pretty? So this is all about using your border dies. Maybe you've got something that's a little bit more scallopy, it's a bit more lacy, however you want to do it. But how pretty is that? I really am pleased with that. I just need to do a little bit of adjusting here. But by the time you see the final picture, it'll be all nicely adjusted, getting rid of all of these little extra bits hiding there. There we go. And there we are, finished. I hope you've enjoyed that. Hopefully it wasn't too long a video. Hopefully it looks, you've enjoyed watching it as much as I've putting it together. And I will leave it there for today. So not clean and simple, but nice and simple, you know, lots of white space on that and very clean looking. So I'm going to leave a link on the left to another video, a link on the right to my subscribe button. It'd be great if you could click those. Thank you very much. And get all the bits out of the way. You don't need to see those. And as always, there'll be lots of links down in the description if you can click on any of those. So I'm going to leave it there for today, and I will be back very soon with another video. So until then, my crafty friends, you take care. Bye for now.